All right. All right. Make sure everything's functioning before we start diving in. What's up, Nick Figures and Paint Fat Purple? Same prime time. It's not really prime time. Hey, Marty Neff. How's it going, guys? I'm just going to get this stream shared a little bit. I was going to do a little intro for this stream, but I decided that by the time I get it all set up, I'm going to run out of time to stream tonight. So we're just going to let her fly. This is just a new streaming concept I have. Now, we do random bonus live streams all the time, but I'm considering adding another stream that lands either on Saturday or Sunday night. Sunday night's probably more viable for me than Saturday night. But, and that is the idea of doing a This Week in Review. And hold on. I'm just getting a tweet out about it. So, the idea of this particular live stream that I'm going to test out, I don't want to commit to it just yet. I also have to make sure it works with works with my schedule. But the idea of this stream that I want to do on Sunday nights is that I will look back at the last week, worth of news. I mean, sometimes we get news on Sundays as well, but I want to look back at the last week's worth of news that's Nintendo related and bring them up. Talk about it, give my thoughts on it. Some of the news I've already given thoughts on, of course, and then have conversations with you guys and answer your questions. And just kind of do this all at once. I know Player Essence does something similar. He does a daily thing Monday through Friday, where he talks about the news from the day. I can't commit to doing that kind of thing daily, but I think like once a week having this conversation is definitely worthwhile. So Zachary Kurtz, finally a stream that's at the time that works for you. Weird too, because it's late for me, right? 9:30 on a Sunday night. That's late. Ideally, this stream would happen sooner, but I had the kids all day. My fiance was working, and now she's spending some time with a friend to have some me time, I guess. We all need that. I don't get it very often, but if I just ask her, I can basically have me time when I want it. It's just hanging out with my friends and doing stuff is a little sporadic most of the time. That being said, Trequeezy says, we'll love more live streams. I've only been a subscriber for over a month, and I really like the videos. Keep up the good work. Thanks, man. Thanks so much. All right. Do your homework, and you'll wind up being a fat painter. That doesn't make any sense, but okay. All right. So let's just go topic by topic. I'm basically going to work from the beginning of the week backwards, and I'm gonna basically just go through the stuff that I covered in some of my prior videos, and maybe some news I might have missed along the way. So I didn't really prepare that well for this one tonight. After all, I'm just testing out the concept. But I guess the first thing we could probably start with is the Smash rumors, right? Like, that was something that landed like big at the beginning of the week, last week. So the Smash rumors are interesting. There hasn't really been any new updates on it. No one's come forward to say it's fake. Everything that I talked about in the video is basically the same, outside of the fact that the guy doesn't work at the one studio. He works at a completely different studio, and he has since denied. But I talked about that in an update video. So there really isn't any new information on the Smash leaks. They're still either true or they're not true, and that's that. As for if I want them to be true, just because Banjo-Kazooie's on the list, I want it to be true. Plus, if the list is true, it does make all of, how the Grinch leaked, as Nick Figure says, how the Grinch leaked Smash, just really funny. Emperor Palpatine in Smash Bros. Won't happen. Disney character. That'll be a story that maybe comes up later. We have something kind of related to Wreck-It Ralph and why there's no Mario in it. But we'll get into that a little later. So yeah, Super Smash Bros. What do you guys think about the leaks? No, if you care about the leaks, I don't want to go too crazy on them in case you don't know what they are and you don't want spoilers, even though, are you really spoiled if you don't know if something's real? Think about that. Think about that for a moment. I could tell you that there's going to be a new Zelda game next year. I could tell you that it's going to feature Link and Ganondorf and a new boss and a new character and a new this and a new that. But you don't know if it's true. So are you really spoiled? Because you just don't know. It's just, for all you know, it could just be made up stuff. See, that's why I don't really get, especially on the leaks where it's complete rumor and we don't know, shh, who knows? Thanks, Alex. All right. So we're talking about the Smash stuff right now. What are you guys' thoughts on the Smash leaks? I'm more curious on your guys' thoughts than mine because I spent a lot of time talking about the Smash leaks this past week, from the first initial video to the update and I think a Prime News episode to the podcast, which will be releasing tomorrow. Some of you guys did see that live, but for those who didn't, the fully edited podcast will be available tomorrow. The audio version's up on Patreon right now for our Patreon backers of $5 and up. So I'm actually really curious what your guys' thoughts are on this. Is Shadow in the leak? Shadow the Hedgehog is in the leak, if that's who you're referencing. Yes. Let me see. Adam David says he thinks the Smash leak is real. I mean, there's evidence for it to be real. And there's evidence for it not to be real. It's kind of, and the evidence for it not to be real is kind of weak, but it exists. It's still one of those things that we just don't know. We literally don't know. It could be an elaborate hoax. There's been super elaborate hoaxes before. Things that couldn't be proven to be leaks that were leaks. Things that were proven couldn't be proven to be leaks that weren't leaks. So some people get really elaborate about this stuff. You guys remember the early prototypes of Switch that were 3D printed and everyone thought were real too? You guys remember that? Back when it was called the NX? And it was just based off of the schematics that were in the patents. I remember that. And again, it looked super legit. But it wasn't. So we always got to be careful until things are confirmed. I'm still in Team Real, but it's not like, oh no, the leaks are not true and I'm going to be raging. I'm mostly in Team Real because I want Banjo-Kazooie in Smash. So it's more so I'm hoping it's real than I think it's real, but whatever. IGN seems to lean on the real side. Yeah, I saw that. Go see The Grinch on November 9th to get more Smash info. I do want to see the new Grinch movie, by the way. It looks fascinating, and take the whole family to it. I mean, taking the whole family to it turns it into like a $100 movie night, but whatever. We don't actually take all of our kids out to the movies that often. Maybe 2 times a year, where we all 5 of us actually go. My kids go to a few more movies than that, but we're all 5 of us as a family go together. We all want to see it. Doesn't happen as often, but is this going to be a Sunday thing, Ryan Lisa? So this week in review, the idea is I'm testing it out. I don't want to commit to it right now, but I'm trying to potentially make this a Sunday night stream, probably with a little bit sooner start time, hopefully 9 p.m. I would like to make it 8, but I can't commit to 8. I can't commit to even doing it every Sunday yet. So I'm just trying something out. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, right now we're talking about the Smash rumors. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Are you on Team Real? Are you on Team Fake? What excites you the most about the rumors? What makes you mad about the rumors? And if we're not getting too much more comments, I guess we can move on to the next piece of news from this past week. Got Ryan Lisa, who thinks it's real. Cosmos was also on. Okay. You modded your Switch long before that, but you still bought the online thing. Nice. Chill triads in Team Real. Haven't had a lot of Team Fakes in here. Is it because you guys want it to be real? Or is it because the evidence is overwhelming you? What's the reasons? Is it both? I mean, it can be both. Reality is all the evidence could just be nothing. It can mean nothing. But even the Grinch stuff could all be fake, right? Like that's part of the. That's what I said. Sometimes these leaks are just elaborate hoaxes, and that would be super elaborate. That is for sure. Real, but I can wait till the game is released. I mean, we all have to wait till the game is released. That doesn't really change anything. If the glove doesn't fit, no reason to think it's fake. Banjo-Kazooie isn't that unrealistic. I think it's super unrealistic. Not because Microsoft wouldn't allow it. I don't think Nintendo would consider it. I mean, they've never... Hold on. I'm trying to think of the current Smash roster. They don't really add characters that are made in the West. That's what I'm trying to get at. So I'm trying to think of there's so many characters to think of. If any of them were actually originated in the West. Or the IP it's from originated in the West. Anyways. They don't, like, Banjo-Kazooie is a Western IP, and they usually don't take characters from Western IPs. That's kind of the biggest thing working against it. Forget who owns the IP. It's that Sakurai just doesn't take those characters, but anything's possible. Let me see here. The French marketing company already tweeted out it wasn't them. Yeah, he hasn't worked there in 2 years, actually. He hasn't worked there since 2016. Riggo. But see, here's the thing. That evidence doesn't really mean anything. And here's why it doesn't mean anything. One, all it means is that the guy's LinkedIn profile wasn't updated. His updated profile shows the new company he works at, which is also a marketing company. So he went from a job that does that to another job that does that. Doesn't actually change anything. It just means that that particular company is not where this information would have came from. That's all. Doesn't actually change the leak. It just means when people researched him, the guy didn't update his LinkedIn profile. The guy also denied that he leaked it, but I mean, as has been said a zillion times, if you broke NDA and leaked something from your work, you're going to deny it. Very few people are going to own up to it because they don't want to lose their job. So, I mean, the guy might lose his job anyways if his company is the one that did it, but that might be something to watch too. Does he update his LinkedIn profile to looking for work? Then again, since it took him 2 years to update a LinkedIn profile, I don't think we can expect updates anytime soon. Both Diddy and King K. Rool are Western characters and both designed by Rare, so it's not out of the question. Yeah, but here's the thing: Donkey Kong is still. The difference is Donkey Kong is still a Japanese-made IP. Like, the Donkey Kong IP wasn't from the U.S. Yeah, King K. Rool and Diddy were creators and were created in the West, but the IP it's from was from the East. So I don't think that counts. I don't think that counts because it's not taking a Western-made character from a Western-made IP. It's making Western-made characters for a Nintendo IP that was created in Japan. Plus, you're talking about Nintendo characters. I don't think Nintendo characters are part of that conversation. When we're talking about grabbing Western characters, we're talking about characters that Nintendo doesn't control. If they're characters Nintendo controls, that's totally different. Those are Nintendo-owned IP. Those have the highest possible chance of appearing in Smash ever. Oh, is it a Nintendo character? Yes. Does Nintendo control that character and that IP? Yes. That has a very high chance to be in Smash Bros. I'm talking about IPs that are made in the West Nintendo doesn't control. Third-party IPs. Anyways. Still waiting for Reggie to be in Smash. I think it's real except for Chorus Kids. Well, Chorus Kids was also rumored for 3DS and the Wii U version, but obviously that didn't come true, and obviously that doesn't mean it's true this time either. That could be all part of the elaborate hoax as well. Because it was rumored before, maybe it couldn't work because of the 3DS version, just like Ice Climbers, but now it can. I mean, we don't really have any evidence to suggest the Chorus Kids would be in the game either. I don't think that necessarily means that Sakurai... I never said that Sakurai's dead set against Western IPs. I'm just saying he's never done it. And if he's never done it, it's hard to assume he's just going to do it when he's never done it. Until someone does something, it's hard to think they're going to do it. I'll give you an example. Nintendo doesn't really do M-rated games, right? They just don't. But now they're the publisher on Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 3. No one would have thought Nintendo would have been doing that. Not since Conquer anyways. And they didn't really publish Conquer because they don't own the rights to Conquer. So like not since, when no one would ever think Nintendo's making an M-rated game. No one would think they would until they did it. So I think it's safe to say until Sakurai does it, there's no reason to think he will do it. As an example. Is Red Dead Redemption on Switch? No. And there's no word for 1 or 2. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption's not coming to Switch. I'll tell you that right now. Not 1 or 2. All right. I guess we'll move on from the Smash stuff. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm within the right week here. Oh, here we go. I think we'll just gloss over the Dark Souls Remastered stuff. That was kind of from the week before, and I don't really want to dive too much into rehashing that. I think we talked about that enough. I did the stream with Super Metal Dave. I don't think we really need to go in more on that. How about the fact that Dreamcast games might be coming to Switch? Yes, folks. If you didn't see the video, essentially the folks at Sega admitted that they almost have Dreamcast games 100% emulated on Switch, and that doesn't mean that they would actually put them out in that way. They are still considering the possibility of directly porting Dreamcast games to Switch, and that would obviously mean that they sell them through the eShop instead of using an emulator, which would need to be a lot more complex release on Switch to use the emulator. It'd have to be some sort of service, whereas if you did a direct port, you could sell through the eShop. So, is there any... that being said, like, this is a fact. This is happening. This is true. We don't know that the Dreamcast games will ever release on Switch, but we know that Sega's obviously looking into it. So the question is, what Dreamcast games do you want on Switch? I gave a couple before in the video, and I'll restate them here. Crazy Taxi, even though it came out other platforms, I don't care. Crazy Taxi, Skies of Arcadia. 2 IPs I'll always associate with Dreamcast, regardless of the fact they came to other platforms because of how popular they were. Just like Resident Evil 4 is, well, we'll get into that later, is a GameCube game, but was popular, so it came to other platforms. So those are 2 games I want to see. Skies of Arcadia, Crazy Taxi. What Dreamcast games do you guys want to see? Let's go. I see Sonic Adventure by Gavin. I figured that one we brought up. Jet Set Radio. Nice. Jet Set Radio. Any other Dreamcast games you guys want to see come over? How many of you got... Hey, raise your hands if you've even played a Dreamcast before. See, I've played Dreamcast. I didn't own it. A friend of mine owned one, and I played like 12 games on it. But I don't know if there's any of the rest of you guys that have actually played a Dreamcast, especially back in its heyday. You can count on one hand how many times you played a Sega Dreamcast. Dreamcast was ahead of its time. I mean, Dreamcast was going to fail no matter what. And the system, I gotta be careful. The system itself didn't really fail. Sega failed. Sega failed hardcore before Dreamcast even came out. If Dreamcast would have just been their next system after Genesis, they would have been fine. But it wasn't. There was a lot of failures in between. So there's no amount of success for Dreamcast would have prevented Sega from having to drop out. That being said, let's see. I see an official Dreamcast emulator in before people inject custom games. Well, I mean that just happens. I think that's one reason why I think they're considering doing direct ports and selling it through the eShop. Time Stalkers, says Batman. Nice. Sword of the Berserk. Wow, and Power Stone 2. Nah, those are games I haven't heard in a long time. Marvel vs. Capcom. Nice. Madden 2K. Yes, it wasn't Madden 2K. NFL 2K started on Dreamcast. However, NFL 2K wouldn't be able to come to Switch because of the new exclusivity contract. It can come to retro platforms. Like if there was a Dreamcast Classic or something like that, that's fine. It can come to that. But it's not allowed to come to modern systems due to the NFL contract with EA. So, yeah, unfortunately, NFL 2K wouldn't be is not possible. If it was possible, guys, NFL 2K5 would have been remastered and all that stuff and brought to modern consoles, but it can't. The exclusivity contract prevents it. So, but yeah, that would be sweet. That I mean, I'd rather have 2K5, which is the best version of it. But let's see here. I'm supposed to check a thread, says Ryan. You're making me open something in the middle of a stream, and now my stream's gonna crash. I'm just kidding. It's not gonna crash. It's just taking a while to open though. But who is this person? This person says they're a translator and secondary writer for Persona Central, Kingdom Hearts Insider, and other sources. Okay. So he's a fan that writes stuff for fan sites. Okay. This is a really long thread, dude. Yeah. And a lot of people responding to this guy on this Smash stuff is calling him on his crap. So I'm gonna leave that alone. I cannot verify anything with this guy. He could just be making everything up. All right. Yo, we gotta get NBA Street, NFL Street on Switch. NFL Street won't happen because again, NFL licensing is with EA, so it just won't happen. Not unless EA does it. Resident Evil game on Dreamcast that used the whole memory card with the screen. Yep, I remember that. Yep. What's the NFL and Disney signing all these deals with EA of all companies? Money. Money. EA's got EA's has like the biggest market cap in the industry, basically. So, EA could pay the NFL a lot of dollars. EA could pay Disney a lot more dollars than any other company that was interested. So, that's what all it is. It's all money, money, money. Let me see here. Ready to rumble! Gotta be careful. Now that I just said that, my stream's gonna get caught. Dude, they're very you cannot say let's get ready to rumble like the guy says it because it's a copyrighted phrase. Do you guys know that? It's a copyrighted phrase. If I say that, my channel can get copyrighted. I would say it the exact same way, the exact same phrasing. My channel could get copyright striked. Crazy. Nintendo needs to make online worth it. Well, that's not what we're talking about, but all right. We're talking about Dreamcast games here. Dreamcast games. Dreamcast controller is such a weird design. Dude, I like the Dreamcast controller. It felt so comfortable. I mean, it's massive, but I have big hands. I have big monster hands. So I have a controller here. I got the Pro controller sitting right here. I have monster hands. I mean, look at this. My fingers touch on this thing. I have monster hands. So big, the OG Xbox controller, the Dreamcast controller, those meaty controllers. Oh, awesome. I love those big controllers. And that's what kind of sucks about the Joy-Cons is that they're tiny. I get used to them and I can use them, but there's a reason I have the Pro controller. So And the Pro Controller's fine. I used to think it was too small. Not this particular controller, but controllers this size. But then I just, oh, geez, don't fast forward. Sorry, I'm in the middle of watching the show. You know what? I'll just turn off my Switch. I was watching a show on Hulu on Switch, and I'll just shut it off because I'm not going to. When I continue it, it will be upstairs in the room before I go to sleep. All right. Dreamcast was the best Sega console. Change your mind. Change your mind. Well, the Genesis was their highest selling one with the biggest library of games. Dreamcast just wasn't around long enough to be the best. But it could have been their best. If they didn't make all the other consoles between Genesis and Dreamcast, it would have been their best. Big meaty hands. You guys aren't going to let that go, are you? Whatever I can do to entertain, I suppose. All right. I guess we can move on from the Dreamcast game stuff. Let's see here. Blah 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 blah. I guess we can hop right into the Resident Evil news. Huh? How about that? The Resident Evil news. So Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil, the OG. They're all coming to Nintendo Switch at some point next year. We don't know when. It was just a tweet by Capcom. Interesting way to announce games through tweets. Although we do live in a world of social media, and tweeting something out can almost be just as effective as showing it at a big event. Because when you tweet it out, all the big places, IGNs of the world and everything, they all share it anyways and hype it up, and a zillion videos are made. So it's an interesting way of marketing, and I guess it's a way of letting people know it's coming. Obviously, when they unveil the gameplay of it on Switch, it'll probably be in a Nintendo Direct or something like that. But it won't be a surprise because we know it's coming. As I noted in my video, Resident Evil 4 is on everything. That's not a negative. I was just poking fun at the "it's on everything" joke. I wasn't actually insulting. One particular commenter, I think he's just a hater of my channel, was all offended that I was poking fun at it, like I was chastising the fact it's on everything. I'm like, no, it's good. If the game's good enough to be on everything, be on everything. Skyrim's going to be on PlayStation 5 and whatever, too. Like, it's just, it's going to happen. Is Resident Evil a remaster? No, they did not say the remasters. They said Resident Evil and Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 4. So whatever the most recent versions of those are probably the ones that are coming to Switch. Because there's been some updated versions of those over the years. Especially Resident Evil 4 has been updated a little bit. Let's see here. What's my favorite Resident Evil, Uncle Elroy? The thing is, I haven't played a lot of them. The first Resident Evil game I ever played was 4. So imagine setting yourself up for disappointment with the future of the franchise when that was your first Resident Evil game. Oh, anyways. Yeah, since then I have played Resident Evil 5 and 6. Wasn't big fans. I didn't think they were bad games, just weren't as good. Resident Evil 7 I touched for a little bit. I really liked it, but I didn't play enough of it that I would put it ahead of Resident Evil 4. Played Resident Evil Revelations on 3DS, beat it on 3DS, bought it when it came to Wii U. Didn't beat it on Wii U, but got pretty decently far into it. Pretty decently far. What a terrible sentence. And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that. I am enjoying. I have Resident Evil Revelations 2 on Switch. I think Mark Greenberg might have bought me that game. Thank you, Mark, if you happen to be watching in the background. I've been playing that, especially lately. Now that the Resident Evil games have been announced for next year, I'm like, hey, let's play the Resident Evil game I have on my Switch. Kind of makes me want to play it, and I'm enjoying that one. So between I played 4, I played 5, I played 6. I dabbled in 7, but not enough to consider it. And I played all of Revelations 1 and a good chunk of Revelations 2. I would say, Resident Evil 4 is probably the best of the ones I've played. I really liked Resident Evil Revelations, though. I really liked Resident Evil Revelations a lot. Enough to buy it a second time, and I don't buy games a second time. Like, it just doesn't, I shouldn't say I don't buy games a second time. If I have previously sold a game on a platform and I want to play it again, I'll buy it. But if it comes to a new platform, I usually don't pick up the game again. So I liked it enough to buy it again. I have not bought Resident Evil 4 again since GameCube. I played it on GameCube, that was it. So you can argue I must like Revelations more because I also bought it on Wii U, but I think I just wanted it in HD, to be honest. Yeah, I'm going to stick with 4. I know it feels like I wanted to go with Revelations so bad because I didn't want to cop out, but I honestly think 4 was better than Revelations. But Revelations is my favorite Resident Evil since 4. 7 could probably top all of it if I actually played enough of it. But I just haven't played enough of it to... I'm not like a big horror game guy, right? So I don't play a lot of horror games. I don't know why. Like, I enjoy them when I play them. I just don't enjoy them enough that I seek them out to play. But... Resident Evil 014. Day 1 buys. Even though you bought them multiple times after I just bought Resident Evil 2 remake at, what was that, £60? And the collector's edition, £230. Jeez. Motion controls will be good on 4. You're excited. They put motion controls on 4 on Wii. So it's not news. Like, it's not new at all. Like, they had motion controls in it before. I didn't own it on Wii, but I know they had motion controls on Wii for it. I hope companies don't start seeing Switch as a console that dump older games on and ignore putting the newer games on it. Okay? You didn't play it on Wii? I heard the motion controls were pretty good on Wii. I mean, in general, motion controls for any shooters on Wii were actually really good. Outside of the first Red Steel game. But Red Steel had like melee combat as well, so... Wii motion controls were finicky at best. I don't agree with that. But then again, the only FPS games I played with the motion controls were the Call of Duty games, and those were those were fantastic. Those were amazing. Like, they were so much better than traditional controls. You would have all like these hardcore traditionalists that were all like, oh, because it's not in HD and blah blah blah, like, it's just, this game's not as good. And I'm just like, dude, if crossplay existed back then, they would have to ban Wii gamers from playing against other consoles, because Wii gamers would have wrecked them. Any professional Call of Duty player on home consoles would have converted to the Wii version because the motion controls were that much more accurate than twin sticks. Oh man. I mean, it happened on Wii U. On Wii U with Black Ops 2 or whatever, they launched the game and they let people playing with the gamepad and like the Pro Controller play against people that were using Wiimotes, and the Wiimotes were dominating so bad. There were so many complaints going in. So many complaints going in to Activision that they separated the lobbies for people that were using Wiimotes versus people that were using traditional controls, because the Wiimotes were just wrecking everyone. Like, you didn't even have to be good. It's just so much more accurate. Who knows? Just like a mouse. It's just way more accurate than having to move 2 different sticks to have perfect aiming. When you could just go boop, 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 and I could just point at you and you're dead. Like, it's over. It's over. I had the Wii Zapper gun on RE4. Was fun with that. Nice. I had the Zapper. Got it with what was that Link's Crossbow Training. Got it with that. I like Link's Crossbow Training. Would I get Devil May Cry HD Collection on Switch if it was available? Don't know. Have I played a Devil May Cry game? I don't even know if I've ever played a Devil May Cry game. Alright. I hope these Resident Evil games don't require an extra download. Like, God, they didn't even want to put the entirety of the Mega Man Legacy on one cart. Yeah. I hope they don't... Well, if they just release them individually, they'll all be on their own carts. If they package them together, it'll probably be Resident Evil 4 is on a cart, download the other 2. Or God forbid, Resident Evil 4 might be the biggest of all the games, so they'll put OG Resident Evil and then make you download the rest. I mean, it doesn't matter for me. I'm okay with it either way. But okay, cool. And I guess obviously we could get to today's little video. For those who didn't see it, I put it up. What is it? An hour ago now? Something like that. Has it been an hour? Yeah, it's been an hour. So I put up a video about Bethesda. And Pete Hines from Bethesda was at PAX Australia, where he gave a keynote speech. Well, I don't know if he gave a keynote speech, but he gave a speech anyways. He had a panel. He had a panel there, and he gave a speech. And he answered questions. And my, oh my, did he open up about the Switch. I mean, he opened up on everything. Like how Bethesda literally wants their games on every platform, not just Switch, like everything. They want a future that's homogenous across the board. All AAA games are on everything, period. End of the story. There's no more, is it coming to Switch? Is it not coming to Switch? Is it going to be on this system? Is it going to be on that system? Is it going to be in the game streaming service? Is it not? Like, he wants a future where everything's just on everything. It's never going to happen the way that he wants it to. But at least he's open to admitting that Bethesda, like, that's ideally the future they want. But that's not really the main crux of the news. So if you didn't see the video, I implore you to go watch it maybe after the stream. It's about 11 minutes and 53 seconds. There's a lot said in there from Pete Hines. But essentially, there's two things I want to focus on. One, Wolfenstein, whatever new game, we don't know which one, is coming to Switch. Not previously announced. He announced it at the panel. The new Wolfenstein game is coming to Switch. We don't know if that means Youngblood. We don't know if that means Wolfenstein 3. We don't know. Wolfenstein 3 has been confirmed that it's in development. So he could have been referencing that, or he could have been referencing Youngblood, which is not currently confirmed for Switch. So we don't know. We don't know which one he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about both. Or maybe he's talking about one, but the other one is still coming anyways. We don't know, because he wouldn't elaborate. But so that's one big piece of news. The other big piece of news is how glowingly he talked about Switch. Every game that Bethesda makes, both over the past year and moving forward, has been in discussion for Switch. Talked about why Fallout 76 isn't on Switch. Well, he didn't really talk much about it, but he said we had that conversation. We talked about Fallout, like us at Bethesda and the development team talked about bringing Fallout 76 to Nintendo Switch before they realized it just wasn't feasible. He didn't get into the specific reasonings on why Fallout 76 isn't feasible on Switch. But he did say, yeah, there was a serious conversation about bringing Fallout 76 to Switch. So Fallout 76 was in consideration for Nintendo Switch. And he went on to say they're having these conversations across the board with all of their development teams. They said, we will never force a development team to bring a game to Switch, but we will force the development team to consider it, to have a serious conversation and consideration to bring it to the platform. So what they're saying is, don't ignore this. We don't want to be the company that has those quotes coming out that are laughing about the idea of your games being on Switch. We don't want to be that company. We want to be the company that says, hey, it's a platform that's popular, that has an audience for our games. So we want to bring them to Switch if it's possible. We also know Doom Eternal is coming, and and he talked about how this is how it's going to be in the future for all their games. They're going to consider Switch for all of their future games. Doesn't mean we're going to get all those games, but it does mean they're taking the platform that seriously, and so much seriously so that he went into why they're taking the platform so seriously. He said, basically, the reason they're on Switch is because they go where the money is. What does that mean? It means Switch is a moneymaker for them. It means that, yeah, we don't have any sales data. They're not sharing sales data, but it's profitable. And it's so profitable, they want to keep bringing games to Switch. Skyrim, Doom, and Wolfenstein 2 were so profitable, they want to keep doing it. They want to keep bringing the games. They're like, yeah, there's an audience. They're buying our stuff. So much so, in fact, he goes on from saying not only are they on Switch because it's a moneymaker for them, they're saying that it is now proven to be 100% viable for all of the games they make. Folks, What's one of the number... Forget the power game. Forget the whatever excuses people put out there for not having AAA games on Switch. One of the top excuses I always see for why AAA games shouldn't be on Switch is that there is not an audience on Switch that would buy the games at a high enough number to be profitable enough for AAA third-party companies to even consider Switch in the first place. Forget about capabilities, just to even consider bringing a game to Switch, there's just not an audience for it. According to Bethesda, that thought process, 100% wrong. They make the kind of games that everyone is saying there's no audience for. Yet those games are selling so much, are such a big moneymaker for them, they're considering their entire library for the Switch. So, folks, I think that's one excuse now we could throw out the door. There's not an audience for Call of Duty. Yeah, there is. There's not an audience for Assassin's Creed. Yes, there is. There's not an audience for Anthem from EA. Yes, there is. Nintendo, I've been trying to say this for the past year. Like, I'm so happy this was said by Bethesda. I've been waiting like over a year for this to be said. Last year, I was touting it and touting it and touting it. Nintendo Switch is a system that has consumers that are into these hardcore video games. And I hate the term hardcore. I've talked about it in the past. But whatever. I'm a gamer, and it's hard to get that terminology out of my head. We're into those hardcore games. We're into the Octopath Travelers, the Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the Dooms, the Bayonetta 3s. Like, we're into this stuff. 85% of Switch's audience is over the age of 18, according to Nintendo. 85%. A vast majority of Switch's audience are young adults. Young adults and up. Vast majority. Why do you think this year they've been trying to hit so hard on the family demographic? Because they didn't have the family demographic heading into this year. They didn't. Labo, Aces, Mario Party. They're trying to expand to families, and guess what? It's not really working. Why isn't it working? Because families don't care about a Switch. Hardcore adults that don't have time to sit in front of their TVs all day, that are always on the go, that used to be the kind of gamers that we rock in PlayStation 3s, Xbox, PlayStation 2s, back in the day, sitting in front of the TV for hours on end, 50 hours a week playing games, that don't have time to do that anymore, are the ones buying Switch. Because they finally have a platform that has like games on it they want to play that they can play anywhere. I'm not saying that Vita didn't do that for some. I'm not going to say PSP didn't do that for some. Maybe 3DS did to an extent. But not to the level of this. Not to the level where you're getting Nintendo's AAA offerings with some third-party AAA offerings. Some. Namely Bethesda. We could do NBA 2K and stuff as well. Obviously 2K18 sold well enough to get 2K19. To me, this is amazing. This is just amazing to me that this is where we're at. It literally prints money. I mean, obviously, I don't think Switch is like Bethesda's most profitable platform, of course. I think thinking that's insane. But it's profitable enough that they want to bring everything to it. Oh, let's see here. But see, here's the thing, Paint Fat Purple. Just check any true facts. Don't read between the lines. Here's the true fact. We're getting Doom Eternal, and we're getting the next Wolfenstein game, and we've already gotten Skyrim. We're not getting Fallout 76 because they said it's not possible. Fine. You want to believe we're not getting Fallout 76 because they don't think it's going to make money on the platform. Then fine, think that. Think that. You can think what you want. Bottom line is, they've released all of the prior IPs they have released on Switch. So far, all of the sequels that have platforms confirmed for it are coming to Switch. Wolfenstein, the new one's coming to Switch. Doom Eternal, the new one's coming to Switch. Elder Scrolls 6, we don't know yet. It doesn't have any platforms announced. So that's the thing about Elder Scrolls 6 is it's too hard to say anything about it. To me, it sounds like that's going to be on Switch? No way. But we don't know. We don't even know it's going to be on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We just don't know. We don't know anything. Don't know anything about it. Teaser trailer. We know it's going to consider the next-gen platforms as well. But bottom line is, the receipts check out. The receipts check out. If these games were not profitable, we would not be getting Doom Eternal. We would not be getting the new Wolfenstein game. Period. Period. Companies don't continue to release games on the platform if those games aren't making money. So, like, I saw your criticism, Paint Fat Purple, in the comments on the video, and I'm just like, what more proof do you need? They're proving it in the games they're releasing. Oh, no. Pete Hines is lying. They're not considering their games for Switch. They're not making money on Switch. It's all political BS. So why are they still releasing games? Companies are in this business to make money. They don't just keep bringing new games to the platform because it's not making them money. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So they've already put... The proof is already in the pudding. At first I thought maybe it would just be Doom, right? Like, oh, it's just Doom. But now it's Wolfenstein. What happens if Elder Scrolls 6, a year or two from now, is also confirmed for Switch? What happens if Fallout comes to Switch? Not Fallout 76, but like the next, solo play Fallout game. I don't know how much more proof you need. I mean, I think it might be worth asking them, are they going to port over some of their other stuff? They're the ones that own Dishonored, right? It'd be kind of cool to see them bring over Dishonored 1 and 2 at some point. I know a lot of people want to see Fallout New Vegas and Switch. Again, older games, I know people want new stuff. I get it. Well, Doom Eternal and the next Wolfenstein game would be new stuff. Don't know if it's day and date yet, of course. Because we don't even know the day and date for those games yet. So obviously we don't know. If Switch's version's day and date. And we assume Panic Button's going to handle it. Maybe. I don't know. They've only used Panic Button. But maybe for these games it's done in-house. Let me see here. Can they port Fallout 4? That would be sweet, wouldn't it? Let's see here. You snapped off your Switch kickstand a couple of times. It seems that the piece where the kickstand is wearing down. Yeah, that happens. That happens. And when you buy like a replacement back for your Switch, most of them don't come with a new mechanism. So that's fun. There are replacement backs you can buy that do come with new kickstand mechanisms. I actually might be working on getting a review product of not like a new backing for Switch, but a new case that you put on Switch that is very interesting. Obviously not usable with the dock because no case you put on Switch is, but it's a very different kind of case. Like not like a carrying case. I mean like a cover, protection for your Switch while you're playing with it. It's a very interesting one. I've never seen a case like this for Switch. I'm really hoping I can get my hands on it. I mean, I might just buy it just because I want to test it out. But they were already in contact with me on a review sample, so I'm hoping to get one. But the person talking to me, I'm not sure if English is their native language, so there's a little communication barrier, even though they do sell it here on Amazon. Anyways, so let's talk about this. Bethesda, man. Bethesda is basically all in on Switch. Let me see here. Let me scroll down a bit. Red Steel. Oh, I love Red Steel. I really need to play more of Bayonetta 1. I really do. I played a ton of Bayonetta 2. I never beat Bayonetta 2. I know. I hate admitting that. I put so many hours in and I never beat it. And then I started playing Bayonetta 1 and never beat that. What's up with me starting these games and not finishing? That's what she said. Actually, that's not. I don't think my fiance. Well, would she tell me? Yeah. My fiance would tell me. She'd tell me if I wasn't getting the job done. She's just brutally. she's so brutally honest. She'd tell me. Let's see here. Let me go. Let me scroll down here. Just seeing what your guys' thoughts are on this Bethesda news. When Bethesda says there's a reason one of their games isn't coming to Switch, I actually believe them. And we just saw some more Fallout 76 stuff today. It looks pretty interesting. I mean, we haven't seen anyone bring over an MMO-style game to Switch yet. So I'm not really sure if there's issues with that. Maybe Switch's Switch caps your upload and download speeds. Do you guys know that? It caps your upload and download speeds. Maybe that's a direct issue for MMOs. They used to not cap it. It was a recent update, but now it's capped. So I wonder if that is one issue for the MMOs in particular might be having. But obviously there's technical limitations that could be a thing in terms of just the system itself. Maybe you can't run it. stuff like that. I mean, that's always taken into consideration that obviously, Switch can't run everything. So, let's see here. Switch the new moneymaker meme, just like the Wii. Oh, dude, Wii and DS were printing money for Nintendo. But it was printing money for Nintendo a lot on their own stuff. like most of Nintendo's best-selling games ever were on Wii and DS. So not only were the systems selling like crazy, their games, the Nintendo games, they were, Nintendo, I can't imagine what it was like to be Nintendo at that point. Like sitting in that boardroom and being like, we have so much money coming in. It quadrupled their money in the bank, and it's crazy. Do you think the Switch is dropping first-party exclusives at a steady pace, or not enough, or too often? What do I think? Hold on. Well, we'll get to random questions like that once we move past the Bethesda topic. The Bethesda topic is the final topic for this week in review, and then after that, we can do general Q&A. Ask me questions about anything that's not related to the news. So save that question, Uncle Elroy, for that time. He's only doing company image stuff. You're way too excited. Okay, Paint Fat. I'll bite. You're right. He's just doing company image stuff at an optional event where he doesn't have to talk about Switch at all. Yeah, he's just, he's company imaging the fact. You know what? Fine. I'll bite. Company image the fuck out of it then. Company image the fuck out of it. Because you know what? The games are coming. I guess if releasing games on Switch is just doing it for company image, then fuck it. Company image the hell out of it because they're still releasing games on Switch. So if you don't want to believe they're just losing money on games on Switch and they're just putting them on Switch to save their company image when they've never supported a Nintendo platform like this in the past, ever. In the history of Bethesda, they have never supported a Nintendo platform like this. So now, out of thin air, they're like, you know what? It's just good PR for us to support a platform where we make no money. Why would they care about good PR for a platform that makes them no money? So sure, it's a company image thing. Company image is why they're releasing games on Switch. Company image is why we're getting the next Doom and the next Wolfenstein. Sure, I'll bite. Then company image the fuck out of it because they keep bringing us more games. So I guess if that's the reason, they just want to be nice. A company doesn't care about money. They're just being nice. Then fuck it. We're still getting the games either way, so I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't want to insult you. You have no evidence to support what you're saying. That's the thing, Paint Fat Purple. You have zero evidence to support anything you're saying. There is no evidence out there to support your thought process that Pete Hines is lying. Zero. All of the evidence already supports what he's saying. The fact that they've already released 3 major games and they have 2 more coming that are the new additions of those games that aren't out on any other platform yet, that are AAA multi-platform games. Like, the proof's already out there. It already exists. But you're just assuming he's lying out his ass for no reason. You're assuming that Switch, that when he said Switch is a viable platform for their games, that he's lying. I'm sorry, until you can provide me evidence, it's just assumptions. Baseless assumptions with no evidence to back them up. So if you can provide me some facts, I hate this, I'm pulling an OJ right now. Provide me the facts that he's lying. Provide me facts. Can you prove that Pete Hines is lying? Be interesting since Bethesda doesn't report anything publicly. Yeah, they really don't. They're really bad at reporting sales numbers unless they're breaking records. Let me see here. I mean, the thing is, I'm excited for what we're getting. So, I'm way too excited. I'm excited because a company released AAA games on Switch, and they continue to sell well enough for them to continue to release sequels to those AAA games on Switch. Ergo, it's kind of proof that AAA games, like the ones that Bethesda keeps putting on the platform, are selling well enough to be on the platform and to continue to be on the platform. Yeah, I'm excited. That was already proof. I didn't need Pete Hines to tell me that there's evidence, that there's proof of this, because the proof's already there. But him confirming it is like, finally, A company head's coming out and saying, dude, it's a moneymaker. It's a moneymaker. Let me tell you, you know what? Where those comments wouldn't fly? With their investors. If he was lying that these games were moneymakers, if he was lying that these games aren't viable on Switch, that they're not financially profitable on Switch, if he's lying about it, that means he's lying to the investors as well. These comments hit the investors. And if the investors look at the numbers and they're like, you're fucking lying, stop making games on Switch. Like, you can't make a comment on revenue on a game. You can't make a comment on revenue on games on a platform that's positive if it's a lie. That's not a PR thing. That's literally not a PR thing. It's none of our business as consumers how much money these games are making. That's a business for their investors. If he's saying this and it's a lie, he just lied to investors. And the investors know because they have access to the financial reports. So, anyways. Am I making the Etika video now? No. I don't plan to make a video on Etika. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm leaving Etika alone. There's no point. There's no point. The guy's in a mental hospital. Why would I even talk about it at this point? Draw more attention to it. Try to make a big deal out of it, dude. The guy is in some serious stuff, man. Like you gotta I want to say respect his privacy. He's not respecting his own privacy by telling, people to record that phone conversation and all the stuff that's out. Who cares? I know better. Guy is in a mental hospital. He is not in the right state of mind to be making decisions on people talking about him. I'm not gonna go there. If people ask me questions during the streams, I'll talk about it a little bit. There will be no standalone Etika video, no live stream with his name in the title. It's not going to happen. I have too much respect for him and his work to do that. I know I thought about making a video on it once we had a resolution. We don't have a resolution. Is he back? Is he talking publicly himself? No. So, there's nothing to really talk about. There's nothing to talk about at this point. And I probably should stop calling him Etika. Since, from what I've heard, the Etika personality thing, the split personality thing. Not that he has a split personality, but he's got, Etika was, the persona. Then there's who he really is. So probably shouldn't even call him Etika anymore. But that's besides the point. I've never met Etika. She'll try it, so I don't know him, no. Drink every time he says company. Wouldn't that be a game? Drink every time he says company image. Pour a shot. Just take a swig from the bottle. Take a swig from the bottle every time he says company image. Sarcastic, Nate, rhetorically. Yeah, you're getting multiple facets of me tonight on this story. Keep in mind, Bethesda doesn't heavily discount their Switch games like they do on other platforms. Sure, they don't. But I think that's more following Nintendo's lead. Nintendo doesn't discount their games. So the audience on Switch is kind of used to not having their games discounted. I hate saying that, but I mean, it's true. We know it's true. Nintendo barely ever discounts their games. I mean, Breath of the Wild MSRP is still $59.99. You can find it for cheaper from certain retailers that are just selling back stock of it, but when they get their new stock in, it's back to $59.99. So, yeah, it's if Nintendo's not going to discount their games, they look at it as, why should we? People will think it's okay because Nintendo doesn't do it, so we're not going to do it. That's the way they're looking at it. At least that's what I shouldn't say I know that for a fact, but that's what I think they're doing. And obviously, they're making money because they're going to bring more. And at least this time, when they bring, the next Wolfenstein and the next Doom Eternal, if they're day and date, then, it'll be the same price across the board. That'll be nice at launch. So, when I buy them at launch, because I love those games, I'm going to get the new ones at launch. When I get them at launch, that, I'm paying the same price as everyone else. It probably won't be discounted at the same time as everyone else, but, I mean, those Switch carts, man. I mean, I could say these companies should take less money on their games and just eat the Switch cart cost, but Nintendo also takes a 30% royalty of all these games on top of the Switch carts. So, and like, here's the crazy thing. Here, you want to know how Nintendo's royalty works? I'm not even sure. Am I allowed to even share this? You know what? I'll share it, but I'm not going to say how I found out. Nintendo has a 30% royalty on all games on Switch, regardless if it's digital or physical. That royalty is on the total cost of the game at retail. So when you sell, when you sell Wolfenstein 2 for $60, Nintendo takes 30% of that 60 right off the top. Okay, cool. But here's the thing: part of the cost of that 60 are the Switch cards. Nintendo charges. I won't get into specifics, but Nintendo charges several dollars, I'll say, for Switch cards. You want a traditional, yeah, you know, you want a traditional 16 gig cart for Switch, right? Like, cause there's 8 gig, 16, 32, right? Those are the three sizes they have right now. You want the 16 gig cart. Okay, I'm not going to hint at who I found it sell from, but Nintendo charges them $10 for a 16 gig card. $10. So that $10 is part of that $60 price. So Nintendo got paid $10 by the company out of that $60 price before the game even went to sale. Then the game goes to sale for $59.99, $10 of which already were the cost of the cart, and then Nintendo takes 30% of that full $60. So Nintendo already makes 1/6 of the money off of the game just for the medium. I mean, yeah, obviously the cards cost Nintendo some money to make and etc. But for the publisher side, that doesn't matter, right? So Nintendo makes, you know, if it's a 16 gig card, makes 1/6 of the cost of the game already. Goes straight to Nintendo, and then they get 30%, including that cost of everything else that's left. I mean, what is that right now? My math brain's not working. Let me bring up the calculator quick. So we got 60. So Nintendo makes $18. So Nintendo sold the cart to them for 10. They make 18 total off the 30% value on the whole thing, meaning Nintendo's taking nearly 50% of the money on each game at retail. And you wonder why game prices don't drop. You wonder why certain indie games on Switch, when they go physical, cost $10 more than the digital. It's a real... And the thing is, I don't know, maybe Nintendo's making nothing. Maybe when they sell those carts to $10 to these companies, maybe those carts are that expensive and Nintendo makes nothing. I don't know. But something's got to give there. Something has to give. Now, I'm not going to say where I got this information from. I'm not even going to hint because I've had several different people confirm to me from various parts of the industry. So I don't... It's breaking NDA for them to even tell me, so I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but... It's crazy! Crazy! And you wonder why everyone's trying to use 8 gig carts and then let you download the rest. Like, this is why I blame Nintendo for the cart situation. They're too damn expensive. I don't even want to know, like, well, I have a ballpark figure for what the 32 gig cards cost. And no, it's not double. It's not $20, but anyways. You got to remember, like, this is in comparison to... Because here's the thing. Nintendo had proprietary media on Wii U, right? I think this is public knowledge now. If it's not, oh well. I'm pretty sure it is. So Nintendo didn't want to use standard Blu-rays on Wii U, right? They did not want to use a medium that everyone else is using. Now, granted, when you do Blu-rays, there's like little royalties that go to Sony and go to like a zillion other companies, but the cost of the disc is so cheap, it's in the pennies. That doesn't matter. Well, Nintendo's proprietary Wii U disc, where all the money went to Nintendo, also only cost pennies. It was within the ballpark of Blu-rays. So, because it basically was Blu-ray technology, or maybe it was HD DVD technology. I'm not 100% sure. There's hackers that could probably tell you. But anyways, it also cost pennies. So, like, it really wasn't a big deal. Oh, yeah, you throw a few shekels at Nintendo for a disc, and, you know, it's the same shekels you have to pitch out for discs anyway on all the other platforms. Not a big deal. But then you had that big of a price hike. Like, the 3DS carts were more expensive than those discs. But the 3DS carts were still such a small size in general that, you know, when you're like, oh, it's $1. Like, I mean, it's $1. Not a huge deal. Like, you start getting to like a sixth of the cost of the game. Even worse for the bigger carts. Like, yeah, someone's being greedy somewhere, or it just literally costs that much for the materials to make the damn things. I don't know. I'm not in the manufacturing side to know how much it costs to make those things. And we'll look at our SD cards and be like, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't be that. It's not technically the same technology that's in those micro SD cards. It's just not. It's similar. It's related technology because it's all flash memory. So it's related, but it's not the same. Just like your micro SD cards are not the same as your 2.5-inch SSDs. And those aren't technically the same as your M.2 SSDs or your NVMe SSDs or the Intel Octane. They're all related, but they're not technically the same thing. And as such, there's different, like they all cost different to make. Your little thumb drives that we've had forever. Those are dirt cheap to make now, but they're slow. Very, very slow. So slow, like, for gaming reasons, no one wants to use those. So, now, I do want to note, by the way, for that 30%, that's standard. Sony and Microsoft charge the same thing. That's industry standard. Steam charges the same thing. Across the industry, it's 30%. That's not actually new. That's like, that's not even new news. The 30% isn't new. Everyone in the world, if you've done any amount of research on this stuff, knows that it's 30% royalty fees for platform holders. It's crazy that Steam charges 30% when the platform is PC, but you're using their storefront to buy it, so they have their royalty fee for using their storefront. But they have, you know, a huge chunk of the PC audience going through their storefront. So, I mean, at least they don't charge more for digital or something. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Now you also understand why some games are digital only. Like when what was the game people were talking about? Resident Evil, right? Because there was Revelations 1 and 2, you'd buy it, but 1 was a download code. You wonder why it was a download code. It was a lot better for the publisher for it to be a download code than it would have been to be even on the same card, let alone on a separate card. For Nintendo games, you'll never have to worry about it, of course. Obviously. But third parties, I'm a little more sympathetic to them. And like that 50% of physical, that's before you consider packaging. That's before you consider shipping cost. That's before you consider retail cut. So the companies make less than 50%, net gain on every physical, sold on the Switch. It's like, what do you expect them to just be okay with that? Like, you know how many more copies of a game they have to sell? And that's what's so impressive that Bethesda came out and said it's a moneymaker, it's profitable. Because that means, despite all of that, Doom, Wolfenstein 2, and Skyrim are profitable and making money for them. So they are selling enough copies to make money. So, as for what can be done about the cartridges, probably not much. Probably not a lot.
Anvil, Lorne.
Anvil, Lorne. Gotcha. So that's why I like when everyone says, like, I've heard some, I talked about this before about lazy. Like, I heard, like, devs are lazy or publishers are greedy by not putting all their games on carts. It's like, sure. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say they're greedy because they want to make more than 50% revenue. Like, revenue gain on their games sold. I guess that makes them greedy. I mean, indie devs got to probably be hurt the worst by that. But yeah, we've gotten a lot of physical indie games. So, obviously they're using the smallest cards. But All right, Lauren Anvil, I got you here. I gotta turn down the desktop volume though, so it doesn't overpower me. That's at my phone here. All right, this will be the open Q&A part. You guys could ask me anything you want for like the next, I don't know, 26 minutes or so here. What we got left? Oh, I'll get a whatever. Screw it. I'll do a kinky shot for you, Edward, just for you. Oh. Sure, the bigger cards are expensive, but that's kind of mute when you get in the licensing fees. How is it a mute point when it gets in the licensing fees? Doesn't that make the margins even worse? So that would make the Switch cards an even bigger deal. Because licensing fees exist no matter what. Especially if you're using someone else's IP. Like Spider-Man. You know, the company that was making the Spider-Man game for Switch. There's obviously a licensing fee associated with that. Sometimes that's just a lump sum paid up front. A lot of times it's a percent of every game sold. Like a percentage of the profits out of every game sold. Cheers. Ooh, pinky. Way better when it's cold. That's what I'll say about the kink. What did I do with my wine bottle? I knocked it over, but the cap is on. How many packages would I have to get in order to do a fan unboxing video? At my P.O. box? Probably at least 3. I'd probably say. They don't have boxes. It could be letters too. Because 3, that gives me like 3 things to like to showcase, you know? If like I just get 1 and then I wait a few weeks and nothing else comes, then I will just like open it on a live stream, which less people are going to see and it's not as exciting. But if I have like 3, you know, it doesn't need to, again, it doesn't need to be a box. It could be a letter. It could be fan art. It could be art, you know, whatever. It could be nothing, by the way. The P.O. box, if people want to send me fan mail, I have a P.O. box down in the description. No one has to send me fan mail, by the way. I use the P.O. box for business reasons, so I already have a different package coming into that. And there might be a chance that, you know, in the unboxing videos, I time it up where I can unbox fan mail with other packages I have coming in and just unbox it all together in one video. Like, hey, this is fan mail part, this is something I ordered, blah, blah, blah. But that's another way I can sneak some fan mail and still have some extra items. Now, I don't order a lot of things, but as I just said, I might be ordering some this new product I want to review for Switch that I think is very, very interesting if it's good. Alex Boyer wants me to play, was it Elise Paris? Gotcha, Alex. Hit you with that Arbor Mist. Thank you guys so much for those super chats. Do you think Fallout will come to Switch in some way? Some form. Well, I mean, it's already on Switch in some way. Remember, Fallout Shelter's on Switch. That's one game I keep forgetting to mention. Fallout Shelter's on Switch. So, technically, Fallout in some way is on Switch. As for the more traditional Fallout games, I think eventually, yeah. I don't know if they're going to release like an older one, but if they decide to remaster an older one, then I think the remaster of that older one will be on Switch. Or HD an older one or whatever. All right, let me get Alex Boyer's song up in here. All right, 3 minutes, 30 seconds. Reasonable.
Not that you would.
Cheers, Alex.
Film to give the audience an ending they'll actually
I feel like bad times behind us.
But you could.
Do I know how much the discs cost for Xbox and PlayStation 4 for a better comparison? I don't know the exact pricing. I know on Xbox 360, PlayStation, well, Xbox 360 was a little cheaper, but Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Wii U, all of those were like 15 cents a disc, something like that. I'm sure, I don't know, did they have dual layer back then? I'm not sure if, like, was PlayStation 3 using dual layer back then? The dual layer disc would have been a little more. So dual layer, like not every game on PlayStation 4 and Xbox uses dual layer. Dual layer ones are usually just add like another 3 cents. It's very cheap. Like these discs are dirt cheap. There's a reason you can go to the store and buy like a 20 pack of even Blu-ray discs you can burn on for like $10, not even $10, like less than $10, and like that's considering a wide profit margin in there, you know, for being a retail thing. Let me see here. What's my opinion on the Banjo-Kazooie trademark? See, I haven't seen anything on that yet. I heard some people talk about it. Nintendo. Hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find some actual news on this. So I'm getting this from Segment Next. It says, the classic franchise that started off on N64 recently had its license renewed by Nintendo of America. This could be a minor change with the company simply wanting to perhaps use their music to sell merchandise. Also means something big for the fans. Or the possible reasons for renewal. It's funny, the title on this says Banjo-Kazooie's trademark is renewed for Nintendo Switch. That's not what the news says, though. The news just says the trademark itself has been renewed. It could be related to Smash, of course. It could also just mean Banjo-Kazooie is going to be on the N64 Classic. They might have got permission from Microsoft to put it on the N64 Classic, and since Nintendo published the game, while Microsoft owns the rights to the IP, if they tell Nintendo, hey, it's okay for you to republish your published version of it on the on an N64 Classic, they give the okay for that. Nintendo would have to re-up their own trademark for that version to do it. So that's probably the more likely scenario here, because if Banjo and Kazooie are in Smash Bros, it would obviously be an updated model. It wouldn't be the OG N64 model. It would be an updated model, and the updated models would be new and fresh, and Microsoft would have to okay. So I don't think they'd have to renew the N64 license in order to put it in Smash. That's why I think this is more related to N64 Classic. Again, I've heard about this news. I haven't researched it. This person doesn't even offer a source. Maybe I can find a place that gives me a source. Here, Reset Era. They usually put in an actual source. Yeah, okay, there we go. The official trademark website, Justia. Yeah, they renewed it there. Yeah, so it's legit. They renewed it back in September. Well, it was recently granted. So again, I think it's for yeah. It's literally here's when they first entered it. They're the original registrant. Blah blah blah. Yeah. So. Yep. Yep. Now, I'm looking back on the other times it was renewed by Nintendo, registered and renewed. It was last registered and renewed by Nintendo back in December 5th of 2008. And if you remember, Banjo-Kazooie, nothing. They see this could mean nothing too. So back in November 5th of 2008, they registered and renewed the trademark then as well, and nothing came of it. So it's been 10 years, and you have to renew a trademark every 10 years. So it could literally be nothing other than, hey, they just had to renew it because it's been 10 years. And it could just be an agreement they have even, right? It could be an agreement. Like I'm looking back here. They registered and renewed it in 2005 on a 6-year deal. They registered and renewed it. The original registration was back in 97. So it could literally mean absolutely nothing. People talking about it, but it could be nothing. Looking at the history here, literally could be nothing. It could even just be an agreement in the sale of Rare that Nintendo keeps up the trademark. Like when Rare was sold, maybe Nintendo's rights to the N64 game went with it, but part of the agreement in selling was that Nintendo keeps the trademark active. Because it's come out on Xbox platforms, right? Like Yeah, the N64. Well, the N64 versions come out on Xbox platforms before. So. Okay. We moved on to another song. And my fiance's calling, so give me a second here. She might be live. Alright, I realized I muted my mic there. I'm back. Sorry about that. My fiance's sister, one of my future sister-in-laws, she stepped in a bunch of glass. And she just had to tell me all about it. Apparently. Because a cat at their house knocked over something and she didn't see it and she stepped on a bunch of glass. She'll be okay, though. Alright. The Genius Battle DFG, totally love your streams, dude. Please keep going. Yeah, I mean, we're going hard here. You'll probably get another 15, 20 minutes out of me. Pretty much when Yulia tells me she wants me to come to bed. That's probably when, because she's just got home. That's when I'll come to bed. Let's see here. If you guys ping me in the chat when you have questions, by the way, I am more likely to answer them. Just because if the chat's moving too fast, we'll skip around. Favorite 2D Metroid entry? Yours is Fusion. Yeah, Fusion's probably my favorite too. I haven't played all of them, to be fair. But Fusion, I really liked Fusion a lot. So, Nate, what do you think? Will Meta Buff's Core make it to Switch? I don't even know what that is. It's an upcoming mobile game. No idea. Never heard of it. Are you getting Warframe for Switch? Isn't that free to play? Or am I wrong? Is Warframe not free to play? If it's free to play, yeah. Just like I have Fortnite and Arena of Valor on my system. Fortnite's the one, obviously, I play more of. Oh, jeez. She's calling again. What could she be calling for? I opened the garage. For some, she had to tell me that she signed in at Netflix at her parents' house with my Netflix, like I'm supposed to care. Anyways, let me see. We had a super chat there, $2 super chat from Jack NGL. He said, Zero Mission's your favorite 2D Metroid. Nice, man. Zero Mission's a good one. Obviously, Super Metroid, loved, you know, the OG Super Metroid as well. Another good one. Cheers. All right. Let me see. Really puts into perspective why a lot of third-party developers aren't bringing games to Switch. I love carts, but they're expensive. Yeah, I mean, I don't think carts are a reason because they could just go digital. So I don't think carts are the reason third-party games don't come to Switch. It's the reason that when they do and they have physical versions, we're only getting the 8 gig carts. That it explains that. It makes me less mad about that. Plus, I have I plan to get a 400 gig cart for my Switch or SD card for my Switch this holiday, anyways. So hopefully, say I plan for it. I don't know if I'm going to have any money for Black Friday or Cyber Monday, but we'll see. So Nintendo just needs to Nintendo just needs to put up Locky. No, they don't own the rights to Nintendo cannot do anything with Banjo-Kazooie without Microsoft's permission. They own everything to do with it. However, Nintendo still owns the OG copyright in terms of the trademark. Not the copyright. They own the trademark. Copyright and trademark are technically not the same thing. Nintendo owns the OG trademark. And probably pursuant of the agreement when Rare was sold, and Nintendo sold their shares of Rare, was that Nintendo keeps the trademark up. It's actually a bit of a... It's a little bit of an expensive process, complicated one to transfer trademarks. It's easier to transfer copyright than it is to transfer trademarks. So it was probably just easier back then for Nintendo to just be like, yeah, dude, we'll pay the, whatever fee it is, right? Like $100 fee or whatever, just to file for the trademark every 10 years. Like, not a huge deal. And I'm sure if Nintendo ever went under and went bankrupt, then the trademark would default to Microsoft. But yeah, they can't just do anything they want with it. What I was saying is, and that was before I looked up the history of that trademark, was that maybe they got permission from Microsoft for the N64 version to be on a classic. But looking at the history of it, it was just due for renewal. Like it's a coincidence, is what I'm saying. Them renewing the trademark is a coincidence because it was due for renewal. It was the last time they renewed it was a 10-year renewal. This one's a 10-year renewal. So. Rockstar should just buy 2 64 gig Switch carts to put Red Dead Redemption 2 on it. Yeah. And then sell that copy to us for $200 so they make some I mean this is beyond, considering the technical limitations and if they would even want to put it on Switch. Philip Stafford says, "Screw Banjo, Microsoft, stop being pricks and allow Nintendo to release GoldenEye 64. The copyrights, not just the copyright, the rights in general for GoldenEye and 64 are owned by like 7 different companies. The reason it hasn't come out again isn't because of Microsoft. I don't even know if Microsoft owns any rights to that game. That was a licensed game. You got to remember, that was a licensed game. Licensed games are usually owned overall by the licensee, but it was weird because Nintendo published the game. So Nintendo owns a little rights to it. And the licensing rights were partially owned as well by the same people who own the licensing rights for 007. And then you have, there was other companies that used to make the 007 games that own part of those rights as well. And then Rare somehow got their name in the hat to own a little bit of those rights. So I guess Microsoft might own a little piece of that pie. The problem is too many people own that piece of the pie that it's never coming out again because none of them can all get together and agree on releasing it, what platforms, blah, blah, blah. Like it's never going to come back. That's why it ended up getting remade or whatever, that newer GoldenEye game, which wasn't the same game. So, because the rights for GoldenEye are really messy. It's just a hot mess. Like we're lucky we even got the game. That's how messy it is. If it wasn't for the fact everyone wanted their money back on it, they probably would have never released with how messy it was. Thanks, Bethesda. I prefer to play most AAA games on docked Switch anyway, so why not make difficult to port games available by streaming them via Ethernet? I mean, streaming's cool too. As for streaming them via Ethernet connection to the dock's USB 3.0 port, that sounds nice in theory if Nintendo actually enabled the USB 3.0 port. Even in current Switch firmware, the Nintendo Switch 3.0 port does not run at 3.0 speeds. It runs at 2.0 speeds, even though it is a 3.0 enabled port, but it is software locked to 2.0 speeds. And since it is software locked to 2.0 speeds, technically, if you have a good Wi-Fi connection to your Switch, your Wi-Fi is faster than the wired Ethernet connection. Now, does that mean there's not a reason to use the wired Ethernet connection? Of course not, because there's no signal interference with a wired Ethernet connection. So while it is slower, it is more consistent. However, it doesn't really matter since Switch limits the upload and download on the system anyways to a speed that you're going to hit through the wired or Wi-Fi regardless. And the benefits of the 3.0 port as a wired port don't matter since Nintendo limits your connection. It limits what you can download and upload, the speeds you can do it at. So because there's a limiter in there, you don't really need the 3.0 speeds. So it's all a mess. Right now, it doesn't really affect most online games, but that we have on Switch right now. But I mean, the limiter is at a point that it's mostly fine, but really doesn't make a difference if you use Wi-Fi or Ethernet unless you just have bad Wi-Fi or like bad Wi-Fi with your Switch, I guess is the better way to put it. The stream we waiting for a chair prime. This is rare. Empty chair stream. It's not that rare. Usually about once per stream you get a little empty chair action. Nintendo Prime. Red Sox won the World Series. You happy, sad, or indifferent? Did they actually win? I mean, I believe you, of course. I know they had a chance to win it tonight. Yeah, they won 5-4, 5-1. Man, they dominated. They won it in LA. That's funny. Wait, no, did they win? They won that at home. Yeah, they won that at home. Never mind. Wait, or did they win it in LA? I don't know. I guess I don't really pay attention. Good for them. Yeah, they won that in LA because it was only 5 games long. Huh, good for them. I mean, LOL Dodgers. But it also makes me feel like my Brewers would have got spanked too. But I don't know. I think our pitching was performing better than the Dodgers pitching, but anyways, it doesn't really matter. I didn't care who won the World Series. There are 2 teams I don't give a crap about, and I want both to lose, but one of them has to win. I don't know what's the lesser of 2 evils. I mean, LA's team's going to fall apart anyways because they're having a bunch of players that are due for new contracts, and I doubt LA is going to take their 200 whatever million payroll and turn it into a 300 to 400 million payroll. I mean, I guess they could, but I doubt it. So, best team money can buy. They're not even I don't even think they have the highest. I mean, they're up there. The Red Sox they pay a lot, but I don't even think they're up there. Up at like the top of the mountain for like highest. I'd have to look. What team does have the highest payroll in baseball? Is it LA? I can't remember. There might be other teams higher. I just know my Brewers are only at like 108 million, which is nothing in baseball. What are some solutions to get Red Dead Redemption 2 ported to Switch? A new upgraded Switch. Some solutions would be, I don't know, to get Red Dead Redemption 2 on Switch, we would need 64 gig carts if they're going to do a physical version, which if they're going to bring it to Switch, there's going to be a physical version. So they would need 64 gig carts. We would need to be accepting of probably an $80 price point for the game. Whether or not consumers are accepting of that, I have no idea. We would, outside of that, I mean, new hardware, maybe. I don't know. I didn't make the game, so I can't tell you. It's possible Red Dead Redemption 2 as is could run on Switch at, sub HD, 540, 340p, whatever the case may be, with a whole bunch of effects cut back. It's entirely possible it could run on Switch. It's also possible that running like that wouldn't be acceptable to the people who made the game. So it would need more powerful hardware. So it's always a give or take. What do they deem acceptable? See, Bethesda deemed how Doom and Wolfenstein run as acceptable, so they released them. Would Rockstar deem how the game would run on Switch to be acceptable enough to release it? I don't know. So I do know that that if they're going to release a physical version, we would need 64 gig carts, and we would need us willing to spend more for the game, because they're not going to do 64 gig carts and charge $60. It's not going to happen. Let's see here. Scrolling down. Oh, Matthew Campos. Sorry. Let me get your shot up here. He super chatted a little bit ago. Said for $2. Thank you so much. He says favorite game to play on Switch while on the toilet. Well. I gotta say, it's usually something. I'm talking about this. I don't know. Has anyone ever asked me this question before? I mean, I do play my Switch on the toilet sometimes. Sometimes I have my phone because I'm watching something or I'm reading about something. So my phone is more common. But when I happen to be playing a Switch game and I have to go to the bathroom, I just take it with me. So whatever I happen to be playing at the time is the answer most of the time. But in specific, if I know it's going to be a long bathroom trip, right? There's not really a show I'm digging to watch, and I know it's going to be a trip it's going to be one of those 20-minute bathroom breaks. Usually something that I can complete something within 20 minutes. So in my case, say a game of Fortnite or Splatoon 2, a few matches, something like that. I don't like to get into games that require longer play sessions. Plus, you might, just be done in the bathroom earlier than you thought, stuff like that. So, so there's your answer, I guess. Cheers. 007 for Smash. That would be interesting. Panic Button could probably cut the file size in half. Maybe. Different game, different engine. The games they've ported to Switch besides, Skyrim, which is obviously on last gen platforms. Doom and Wolfenstein ran on the same ID Tech, engine. So there's a question of, just because they were able to do that really well doesn't mean they could do the Red Dead Redemption one really well, depending on what it's using. So in half, maybe, but we don't know. Like we think Panic Button can work miracles, but we don't know. They don't have experience with every engine in the world on Switch, especially at the scale that Red Dead's at. So it would obviously be reduced, but I don't know what it would be reduced to. We'd just all be guessing at this point. Microsoft is the sole reason we didn't get a real GoldenEye 64 released on it. That is a lie. I specifically remember at the time that they were trying to get it on the Wii Virtual Console, the copyright owners of the GoldenEye brand, the overall GoldenEye brand, not just the game, told Nintendo to F off. And Nintendo's like, why? You'll make money. So there's a lot of things involved with this copyright. Like Microsoft can't even release it. Fun fact, GoldenEye's never been released on a Microsoft platform either. They own the company that made the game, but they can't get the game to be on their platform. Why? Because all the copyright owners won't allow it. No one can re-release the game. Microsoft's not blocking it because Microsoft can't have it either. No one can have it. Anyways, that sucks. It sucks that it's kind of in that hellish place. It's the one game I guess I don't blame pirate. Well, not the one. There's a few others, but it's one of the games I don't blame pirates for pirating because you just can't get it again. You have to buy the OG card or you can't play it. So, it's going to be one of those games that, 100 years from now, thankfully it's on the internet to play because it'll be lost to it would be lost to time. Oh yeah, Nick Figures brought up Illumination Studios is making a Mario movie. Hopefully the Grinch changes my opinion on that company. Well, the Grinch movie looks really good. See, I like Illumination's videos already, their movies already, so I don't have a negative opinion of them. And The Grinch looks great, and I love that it's like a new take, right? It's not the same story told again. It's a fresh take, and I mean, it's the same premise, but obviously it's a Grinch movie, but different, and I like that. What I was going to mention before is the Wreck-It Ralph stuff. So a story came out, because Bowser, right? Bowser was in the original Wreck-It Ralph. Brief cameo. So people were wondering if Mario would appear in Wreck-It Ralph 2, especially since Wreck-It Ralph goes, they go with the internet, where obviously there's going to be Nintendo stuff as well. And yeah, we know they end up in the Disney Kingdom, of course, because why wouldn't they? But the problem is that they couldn't get the rights. Like, they don't own the rights to Mario. And now that there's a Mario movie being made by Illumination, now that Nintendo works directly with Universal, it's kind of that conflict of interest where when the first Wreck-It Ralph came out, there wasn't really a conflict of interest. So Nintendo being like, sure, you could use Bowser wasn't a big deal. But now after like, sure, you can use Mario, it's like, can't. It's a conflict of interest now for Nintendo. So it kind of sucks. Like if Wreck-It Ralph was made today, Bowser wouldn't be in it. So even that little cameo. So it kind of sucks. But I really liked Wreck-It Ralph. I know there's a contingent of the internet of gamers that don't like Wreck-It Ralph for some reason. I liked Wreck-It Ralph. I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to the second one. Then again, I'm also the person that likes the Super Mario movie. So needless to say, my taste for things don't match everyone else's. What would I think of Eternal Darkness game made by Bethesda, exclusive to Switch? I mean, I think Eternal Darkness is owned by Nintendo, the IP, so it would have to be exclusive to Switch. Pretty sure Nintendo owns the IP rights to the Eternal Darkness. I don't know that they ever plan to have another one be made. Bethesda would be kind of cool. I don't know that Bethesda's interested in making exclusive games on Switch, though. Bethesda really, if you can't tell what they said today, they believe in multi-platform. So I don't know that Bethesda would even want to make an exclusive game for Switch. So I think it might be neat. I just don't think Bethesda's interested. I don't know that Nintendo's interested either, to be honest. Or Rockstar pull a Capcom, make us download the whole game. I mean, you have to install the whole game on the other platforms. It's almost the same thing. Some people were saying that it was faster to download and install than install off the discs because the disc read speed are so slow in comparison to downloading and installing. Obviously, installing a download locally is going to be faster because it's local, but with those wax figures passed off as character models in Red Dead Redemption 2, I find it hard to believe that is that taxing of a game. Wow. Wow. That is some, wow. I want to show you something. Now, to be fair, I've only seen in person Red Dead Redemption 2 played on Xbox One X. So I want to be clear about that. I've only seen it in person. And an image over a stream isn't going to do the game justice. But give me a second. Let's see if I can show you something here. It's so hard to get like a really good screenshot here. Hold on. I wish I had an X, so I could. I'd be playing Red Dead Redemption 2 right now if I had an X. A lot of people are even saying that like this is a game to buy the X for because it's just so much better looking on it. If you have a 4K TV, of course. Obviously, 4K TV matters a lot. I'm trying to get a. Okay, here we go. This isn't. I don't think this is. Oh yeah, this is 4K. It's 4K image. All right. So those wax models you're talking about, right? Let me see if I can get this to show up on my end before I show you guys Studio Mode Editor. I think I already have it set up to do this, but All right. Heck, let's blow that up. I'm sorry, wax models? If that's a wax model, this is in 4K. If that's a wax character model, then I want every realistic game ever made to use wax character models. I'm just saying. Like... that character model is so far beyond anything we've ever seen Nintendo make. In terms of realism. Not just one character model. There's so many in the game. All right. 20-minute bath. Dude, there's been times when like I'm watching my kids and I fully admit I take a bathroom break. Even when Yulia's around. Especially when Yulia's around. Just so I can get away from I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm really just getting a break from the kids. She's probably watching the stream right now being like, you bastard. Usually it'll take 20 minutes though. It gets suspicious when it's that long. Why is every bathroom break like a half hour? I have problems. Do you want to get into my bathroom problems? Go to the doctor. Did. Do you think Bethesda will now take Switch into mind when making their next engine? I don't know. I don't know when they're making their next engine, so I think it'll run on Switch. I don't know if they're going to take Switch into consideration necessarily. Like they're going to worry about it. I think they're just going to make the engine they want to make, and then they'll conform it to the platforms they're going to use it on. So I think their next engine will run on Switch. It doesn't mean the games will necessarily run on Switch. Like Unreal Engine 4 can run on Switch, but it doesn't necessarily mean everything about Unreal Engine 4 just works perfectly on Switch. That's not the case. So it can run on Switch, but still not support everything. So sure, it'll probably run on Switch. Most desired unannounced multiplat AAA game to come to Switch. Most desired unannounced multiplat AAA game? Kingdom Hearts 3, probably, right now. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2, but it's already out. So, Kingdom Hearts 3. Let me scroll down. You can keep bouncing around. Yeah, that's the thing about streams. That's what sucks about streams is that the images don't always show up that well. Because it's a stream. You're getting stream quality, right? Like, let me just see if I can send a direct here. This is here you go. Here's a link. You can get a look at it. Direct link to that image. That's the I think. Pretty sure it's 4K because it's native 4K because my monitor is 4K and it fills up the whole thing when it's on its full version. So that's yeah. That's looking good. I mean, the horse model looks really good too. The only thing that gives it away to me that it's a video game is the ground. That's one thing they haven't really. I don't know if I want them to go to this level of realism, but when you look at the ground in the photo, like you'll see, it's not the grass that does it for me, but the grass itself contrasts with the texture on the ground. The texture on the ground is some dirt, and you're seeing rocks, right? There's rocks in the dirt, but notice how all the rocks are flat. There's nothing bumped up anywhere or loose looking because it's just a flat texture. Here's the grass model, then a flat texture underneath. And because of that gives away. In motion, you can't tell as much, but that gives away that it's a video game. Like if this is like, oh my gosh, this is so realistic, like that part gives away because there hasn't really been a focus on. If there was a company that was going to focus on a detail like that, it would be Rockstar. But yeah, the rocks are flat. But like that's, I mean, am I supposed to get mad at them about that? Like, oh my gosh, you made this super realistic game, but damn, you forgot to really improve those ground textures and those rocks. Like, how nitpicking it is in a game. Like, look at that horse model. Look at those damn ducks. Look at the freaking mesh. The little mesh that's there. Look at the rope. Look at the damn wood. Look at the character model. Like the trees. None of the trees, at least in this shot, look like they're using the same model. Like. There's so much detail in the game, but I always notice that in every game, even in Breath of the Wild, like just flat. It's just a flat texture. It just always stands out to me because I don't know. I guess it's something that's always bothered me. It's like N64 era ground texture. Everything else looks great, and like that's just the way it's just been in gaming forever. I can't think of one game that hasn't been that way. I can't think of one video game that does not have flat ground textures. It's such a stupid thing. I don't complain about it most of the time. It's just such a stupid thing to notice. Anyways. You have to agree with Philip Saffer's spicy take there. What did he? Or did he have another take? I've seen the gameplay trailer ads on Hulu. Well, that's a great way to base your opinion on a video game on how it looks. Is on a streamed trailer that is downscaled to be an ad on Hulu. Not really the best way to judge it. Having seen Red Dead Redemption 2 in person on a 4K TV with proper HDR, OLED TV with an Xbox One X, which is currently the best way to see the game. Oh my God. It is the best looking realistic video game ever made. And it's not even close. It's not even remotely close. It is the best looking realistic video game ever made. So of this particular art style, there has never been anything that looks better than Red Dead Redemption 2. Period. So if you think that looks last gen, oh my, go look at Red Dead Redemption from last gen and compare it. It's a night and day difference. Anyways, just wait till the PC version comes out. Oh, the PC version. Like, if that's what it looks like on X, I can't imagine what like a 2080 Ti is going to do to this game. And 9900K. Oh, man. Because I'm sure the settings can get even higher than this. Because this is hardware limited. Hardware limit, like Xbox One X is the most powerful platform out there, so it's the best version of the game right now. When PC comes out, I bet you it can look even better. Don't know how. Maybe just viewing distance. I don't know. I don't know what's going to be different because I've like even on PC, I've never seen a game on PC that looks better than Red Dead Redemption 2 on an Xbox One X in terms of like realistic visuals. Now, there's other issues with the game, of course. Rockstar's got their general things that people don't always seem to like. A lot of tedium, a lot of stuff like that. But in terms of visuals, I almost wonder if people are giving it 10 out of 10 just because they didn't think games could look like this. It's crazy. Out of all the places that make realistic looking games, this is the closest I've seen a game come to breaking that wall. Some things in the game do break the wall for me. I could still tell a little bit that the character models are character models, but the horses, when the horses are in motion, I have a very hard time telling the difference between a real horse and the ones in the game with how the fur moves. I mean, the individual strands of the fur and the tail and everything. Like I thought it was impressive how it worked in Breath of the Wild, but obviously art style wise, you know, it's not a real horse. But like for realism, oh my gosh, those horses in the game when they're in motion, anything's at a standstill, you can find faults. But in motion, oh man. If they just showed a field of those horses running, I'd think I'm watching the Discovery Channel. Until I noticed the ground textures. Anyways. Because like how that grass looks there on the ground, and those like contrasting with those textures, there's actually grass like that in my yard. It's just the ground I see doesn't look like that. But my grass is like, you know, it's like crabgrass or weed grass or whatever, and it looks like that. Anyways, let me scroll down here. Yeah, dude. I mean, the game looks really cool on all the platforms. I'm on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, OG Xbox One. I mean, it looks really good. It's just I've only seen in person. I've seen videos that are compressed, and like we have to remember about videos. Like even on YouTube, when you see a trailer for it on YouTube, as stunning as a trailer might look on YouTube, that's been compressed. That's been compressed by the people who had to render that video to get it on YouTube, and then YouTube recompressed it. So it's been at least compressed 2 times from the raw footage, if not more. So I capture even the gameplay you see on my channel. I capture my gameplay raw, but Premiere Pro won't take it. I don't know why. So I have to use Handbrake to compress it. And then when I render my video, that compresses it again. And then when I render it on YouTube, it's compressed again. So by the time you see gameplay from my Switch on YouTube, it's already been re-rendered and recompressed 3 times. So that just to give you an idea of like nothing beats the in-person experience. Since when is this Microsoft Prime? People were just asking about Red Dead. It's a game that just came out on Friday. Some people are excited about it. Some people are critical of it. Some people are just wondering what's up. There was questions about it coming to Switch. And me saying that it looks best on Xbox One X is just it's a statement of truth. It looks good on all the platforms. I've only seen it on the X. But from everyone I've talked about that has it on multiple platforms or has seen it on multiple platforms, the X version is just... I mean, it's not a surprise. It's the only one that runs in true 4K. PlayStation 4 Pro upscales, which is fine. Cheers. Put it this way. That's why the Xbox version has a higher review score than the PlayStation 4 version. Just because of how it looks on X. It plays the same on all of them. Let me scroll down here. Elite Dangerous is true photorealism and thus looks way better. Is that a game, though? Hold on. Elite Dangerous. Okay, Elite Dangerous, I can already tell you, is not true photorealism. Just looking at screenshots, that is not true photorealism. That is not true photorealism at all. Not even remotely close. Not even remotely close to true photorealism. Those ships, I'm not just talking about the fact that the ships themselves are unrealistic. That's not how ships actually look in real life. Metal does not look like that in real life. That's not like even like the trails and the way things are like. That's not how spaceships look like in real life. It looks so, it's so cartoony. That is not realistic. Now you might be talking about the atmosphere, right? Like, oh my gosh, the planet there, like, or this moon or whatever that I'm seeing in the screenshot. Man, it looks so realistic. I'm like, yeah, because it's a real photo that was taken and then mapped to that planet when you're looking at it from a distance. I guarantee if you land on that planet, I don't know if you can in this game, but if you land on the planet, it doesn't actually look like that. So, yeah, the planet's just a background image. I mean, I can Photoshop in a planet, skin from a real photo. Like, some games do that. That's where the photorealism comes in, because they took a real-life photo and they mapped it into the game. But that doesn't make the game photorealistic when the other aspects of the game that involve actually having to interact with them don't look real. So the interactive elements of this don't look real. All the background elements, of course it looks real. Because it's just photos of outer space that were, brought into the game. If that makes sense. I'm looking at the stars. Congrats. There's a bunch of white dots. They took outer space photos and skinned it into the game. Congrats. The actual, like, here, I'll do you one better. Let's watch a video of this together. Don't know why this matters, but all right, let's watch a video of this together here. Whenever this ad finishes.
Maybe that's what makes us great. Make the dream.
Make sure. Well, the resolution won't matter. Technically, the resolution has nothing to do with photo.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Elite Dangerous.
So none of that's realistic at all. None of that looks real. None of that's realistic. Let's get to where they're outer space, though. So right now, it just looks like a video
Are,
game.
next to this space station anyway, or this orbital.
So this is photorealism to you, huh?
What's that?
Sure. All this stuff in the background is photorealistic because it comes from actual photos.
Something like I'm
None of it's interactive. All the stuff that's interactive elements doesn't look realistic.
And you can see things with like faction affiliations.
So yeah, it's photorealistic because it uses photos for all this background stuff.
Activity is
All the interactive parts are not even remotely close to realistic.
1,000 credits.
So that's not photorealism.
Yep, 15,000.
I mean, the background is, but we've had We've literally had games way back in the day that had real life actors in them. Like that was the most photorealistic games ever, technically, just at low resolutions. All right. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. We can't even see 4K. Yeah, well, yeah, we can. We can see 4K. Are you kidding me? Pixels aren't a direct correlation to what our actual eyeballs can see, but science has been done to prove if you want to correlate how much our eyes can see to a computer-style resolution, we see at resolutions and frame rates that are ungodly compared to what technology does today. We see at resolutions that are like you're talking 4K. We see at resolutions that are like 600K. It's crazy, and we see at frame rates that because frame rates are only a thing with cameras, like camera shutter monitors, stuff like that. But at a stable FPS that we see at it's something crazy like 1,000 FPS for comparison. So our eyes can perceive 4K. Our eyes can perceive 60 FPS and 30 FPS differences. Your brain's ability to process the difference in what you're seeing on a screen versus what you see in real life is completely different. Some people can't tell the difference between 30 FPS and 60 FPS, not because their eyes aren't getting that data, but because their brains aren't able to process it. And that's just a genetic thing. There's nothing you can do about that. But our actual eyeballs, like what we see, is at such a massive resolution comparison that like 4K is a joke compared to what we actually see. Now, your ability to perceive 4K, again, your brain's ability to process is different than your eye's ability to actually see it. Anyways, the horses are in motion, especially in motion. Those horses, I mean, if you would tell me that those are like videos of actual horses and they just injected those video clips into the game, I would believe you. Then let's say they don't focus on image quality until it is more mainstream. Do you think 4K will be mainstream enough for the next Switch? At least, so what Nintendo says, it's not till it's mainstream, I guess, is right. But what they focus on with resolution is they don't want to jump to something when it is still only by a small percentage of people. 4K, as great as it is, and as much as like a lot of us have it on our phones and don't even realize it or don't care about it, especially at this size, it's harder. 4K is harder to tell on smaller screens than it is to tell on bigger screens for most people. I can tell on the smaller screens from 4K to 1080, but I admit it's not like this groundbreaking thing that I worry about. But Nintendo does obviously care when things are mainstream. They didn't care about HD back in 2006 because very few households had HD. Are they going to care about 4K the next time around? I don't know. I mean, how many households have 4K TVs? In this house, we have one 4K TV. I got my 4K monitors for work, but we have one 4K TV. This is 1080. The big screen upstairs is 1080. The one in my room, and me and Yulia's room is 1080. So the thing is, I don't know when 4K is going to be mainstream. Because here's the problem that 4K has. People aren't going to replace their 1080 sets until their 1080 sets go bad. But the 1080 sets are LEDs and take a long time to go bad. Ergo, 4K is not really going to take off right now. yes, a lot of the 4K stuff, you know, it's just, yes, 4K is becoming more and more affordable, but a lot of people don't see 4K as a necessary upgrade. So it's not like the difference from, you know, 480p to 720 and even 720 to 1080. 1080 to 4K is only noticeable for most people at the largest screen sizes. Most people aren't buying the largest screen sizes. The average TV sold today in the US is 32 inches. At 32 inches, most people don't notice the difference between 4K and 1080p. So because of that, people aren't going to spend the extra money to replace TVs they already have. So when is 4K going to go mainstream? 20 years from now, when 1080p TVs start dying out in people's houses. And when they go to buy new ones to replace them, all that happens to be available is 4K TVs. So will they put a 4K, you know, dock out there with the next Switch? No. It's not going to happen. Could they sell a 4K dock as an accessory? Sure, but it's not going to happen. People need to stop worrying about the Switch being 4K or a 4K dock, as you call it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to... Even if it was mainstream, if they're still using Switch and they're still doing this hybrid thing, they're not going to do it. They want to stay at $300, guys. So when Switch 2 eventually comes, they're not going to be like, oh, we have a 4K dock. No, if the Switch itself can't do 4K on its own, they're not going to upscale it with a dock. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It adds too much to the price of the system because that would mean there is an external GPU inside that dock for it to actually run true 4K. Could they do 4K streaming? Sure. That's a really tiny chip. You don't need a big chip to do 4K streaming. But in terms of 4K gaming, it's not going to happen. That dock alone would be $200 to $300. Then you actually have to buy the Switch. And the Switch's mobile technology is so far away from supporting native 4K, gaming-wise. Like, phones that are... This phone right here is more powerful than my Switch. The specs and everything in this phone is more powerful than my Switch. It's 4K. Can't actually play games natively at 4K that are even close to console level. When you play a console level game on this one, it's just upscaling to 4K. You're not actually playing at 4K. You can't handle it. We're so far away from mobile technology being at that point. And Nintendo's so far away from it being affordable in their current form factor. It's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. Unless they make a standalone system. That's different then. If they make a standalone system, they could probably get something working for $300 that does 4K, you know, in a few years. But well, I can already tell you, Philip Stafford, planets can be landed on. But when you said stars, you mean the stars up close, like suns? Well, I can already tell you that's not photorealistic. You want to know why? Because if it was photorealistic up close, Philip, when you look at that sun, you'd be blinded. So again, like, it's not photorealistic because they don't want to make it photorealistic. They're not going to make the suns, the stars, you know, up close photorealistic because you can't look at the sun. It's too bright. The sun is too bright to look at. It's bad for your eyes. So they're not going to make it realistic in the game. They're going to tone it down because it's too bright for our eyes. So it's already not photorealistic by the fact you can even see it without hurting your eyes. But that's besides the point. Again, we're talking about background elements. You're talking about things that aren't interactable. You don't land on a sun. I guarantee you don't land on a sun. You might be able to crash into one, but you don't land on it. Maybe you land on the planets, but I highly doubt the planets when you land on them are as impressive as they look like out in outer space. Doubt it. Doubt it. Maybe you can find me a gameplay clip that proves me wrong on that, but I doubt it. And this is beyond the fact, by the way.
Play this song, Turning Over a New Leaf, Animal Crossing song by Mando Pony.
Sure can, Blue Bolt. Gotcha.
Emily Jones.
Featuring Emily Jones. Gotcha. On top of that, and here's the thing, I'm not trying to rag on the game, but when the actual like ships and all this stuff looks so unrealistic, that's not photorealism. Photorealism means the entirety of what you are seeing on screen is photorealistic. It doesn't really matter if the planets are photorealistic. It doesn't matter if the suns, the stars all the dust out in space. It doesn't matter if that stuff's photorealistic when a whole bunch of other stuff on screen isn't. When the rest of the stuff on screen isn't photorealistic, it's not a photorealistic game. The only real photorealistic games I have seen are ones that are like, they're kind of like the new text-based games, where you're just like making decisions, and then there's like I'll give you an example. Here's a photorealistic game. I don't know if it gets more photorealistic than this. I have it on my late shift on Switch. That's a photorealistic game. Why? It's an actual movie. But it's a game because it's interactive. And you make decisions in it. That's photorealism. Because everything is not only photorealistic, it's literally real. That's photorealism. You can have photorealistic elements. I will give you the planets, the stars, all this stuff in outer space. They're photorealistic. But the whole of the game is not photorealistic. Whereas the whole of Red Dead Redemption 2 aims for photorealism. It doesn't get there, of course. Red Dead Redemption 2 is not a photorealistic game. It's just the combination of elements in the game is that consistent level of shooting for realism without like taking photos and mapping it to the game, right? It's trying to recreate realism versus using photo mapping, which is what I can already tell just looking at Elite Dangerous's gameplay. They use photo mapping, which is it's actually a great tool. Photo mapping is really cool. Believe it or not, Nintendo does this as well in their Pikmin games. Some of the elements in their Pikmin games are photo mapped. That's why they look so good. That's what makes the Pikmin games look phenomenal. A lot of those elements we see are photo mapped. All right, turning over a new leaf, Animal Crossing. We have an ad here. Text to speech. Yep. We don't want to go blind while playing games. Of course not. I mean, you can argue we might be going blind playing games, looking at screens so much, but especially all that blue light. I mean, on my phone, I always have my blue light turned up, reduced. It doesn't turn off entirely. But like my blue light filter is always on. Let's see, it's gonna show. See, my blue light filter is always on. It kind of sucks at first when you turn it on because you see, oh, this is what it should look like. These are true colors. Oh, here's the filter. After a while, I still notice it. Let's just be honest. When I turn my phone on and I can tell, like, that's a slightly yellow tinge. I can just tell it's a slight yellow tinge. But I eventually just get over it and stop thinking about it. And I know it's better for my eyes to do it. I mean, even on PCs, I should be wearing basically that same filter on my glasses. But I'm just trying to reduce the amount I have in my life. So if I reduce it on my phone, at least it's reduced in one aspect of my life. I'll give you that shot too. Oh, by the way, Elite Dangerous, from what I can tell, it's a pretty game. Pretty. I think outer space games in general are pretty. I have a little bias to outer space. I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a kid. I wanted to be a lot of things, but astronaut and a marine biologist. Those are two career paths I was looking at when I was younger. The live stream. Well, the actual... Even then, it's not 100% photorealistic. Because the camera is picking up. Like, in real life, you're not seeing these little... pillars of light coming down. You don't actually see those in real life. But the camera picks them up. You have that issue with cameras in general with lighting, though. Cameras don't always handle lighting the best. There's actually some cool stuff on the Action Lab YouTube channel if you go watch it on lighting. And how cameras pick up lights compared to our actual eyes picking up lights. Why I have issues with lighting. If only my camera could pick up the lighting the way it looks for me with my eyes. If I could just take my eyeball and make it the lens for the... Actually, my eyeball with my eyeglass lens in front of it. So it doesn't look blurry. man. A bunch of smudges on my glasses as I try to read chat without my glasses on. Yeah, I could tell, Philip, that it got its images from. I've done enough down the pipeline to become an astronaut. Looked at enough stuff to know that those were NASA images, or I didn't know them necessarily NASA, but they were actual. The mapping was from actual images of outer space. You know, obviously I couldn't know if they're from NASA or not, because there's other space programs in the world too, and many companies that have satellites out there taking images. Electric Love is photorealistic. 8K. This live stream is PlayStation 3 graphics, not photorealistic enough. Yeah, I'm not realistic enough for you guys. I look a little whiter. Well, oh, this lighting is actually not good lighting for me to tell. Yeah, I do look a little whiter in the live stream than I do in real life, though. I actually have a slight tan going on. Thanks, camera. Again, it doesn't handle lighting very well. I've just been outside a lot with my kids because it's fall, and it's actually been sunny the last few weeks. And this 50-degree-ish weather, oh, I can live in that weather all year long. All right. I just want it to be December 7th so all of this chaos can be over and the game will be out. Yeah. Obviously, you're talking about Smash. Yeah. It doesn't even need to be December 7th. It comes out December 6th. December 6th is when the chaos is over. What happened to the porno lighting from the past streams? You mean the LED lights? I still got them. I have to turn off the ceiling light for you to see it, though. No, I'm a little red. And I can change all the colors. I can have it go. What's this? There we go. Have it just cycle through colors. But yeah, I still have that ability. That's from my Prime News setup, by the way. That's the practical effect light I use in my Prime News setup.
Undertale, original lyrics by Liz Robinette.
Undertale song coming. Gotcha, Blue Bolt.
All birds' wall runners are made from wool.
All right.
So, technically, you could meet your shoes.
And,
Which is what's happening here.
where's my... We're going to finish this tonight? We might finish off this tonight. Now I'm looking sexy. I'm looking blurry at times, too. The camera's having a hard time focusing. It's a really expensive webcam, too. Too bad my kids broke the original cord, and the original cord's too expensive, so I'm using third-party cords that... Blue Bolt with $1. Yep, that might be the last shot of this bottle. Which, of course, means that all my other shots the rest of the night is... Yeah, that's everything. That also means the rest of the shots is harder shots now. But that's alright. Cheers. So Blue Bolt hits me again. Could have sworn I saw Nintendo Ninja when you got up. Be careful, must be that cart price. Nah. It's fine. If a Nintendo Ninjas are real and they showed up at my house, I would have to give up where I got the information from. Or I could just say I lied and made it up, I guess. I don't know. Would I lie to a Nintendo Ninja, though? I don't know. I feel like that gets me in more trouble if I lied. But I don't... I mean, they could just take out my YouTube channel because I haven't... That's the thing. If I don't do it, they can just say, well, we're within our legal rights to copyright your channel and take it out. And be like, damn it. You know? They'd have many ways to make me get the truth out, even if I didn't want to. But nah, I'm not worried about it. More Bethesda games. Cheers, Blue Bolt. The pink stuff. And yes, it's only a half shot. Because this is like 3 times the alcohol of the wine I was doing. Here is a Nintendo in your house. Hey, Mr. Snappy Paws. Get your shot in more Bethesda games. But yeah, we're going to get more. We're going to get more. We have 2 more coming for sure. We'll see what else gets announced in the future. Can't wait to see. It'd be sweet if we got Wolfenstein Youngblood and Wolfenstein 3. Those are both future Wolfenstein games. So, hey, do you think it's possible? Well, stop the player. Do you think it's possible for the next Switch to be at the same power level with the PlayStation 5 as the current Switch is with the PlayStation 4? When we get to the next generation Switch, yes. But the next generation of Switch won't be... Gosh, it won't be for a while. It won't be for a while. The next generation of Switch will be a long ways away. But cheers, Mr. Snappy Paws. I told you. What'd you tell me? What, that we would get more Bethesda games? Didn't think we wouldn't get more of them. That song was pretty, but it really didn't help with how tired you are. Yeah, that sounded like a song that I would fall asleep to. Yeah, the Streamlabs alert of the super chat, it seems to be delayed. See, I turned down the delay on me to you guys. We're very close to 1-to-1 to chat to what I see. So I see the super chats before they pop up. But it's nice when the chat's really rolling and I'm in the middle of a game and stuff's going on. It's still nice to have the alert hit a little later. That way I know. I don't have the alerts on a delay, by the way. It just happens. Use Super Crown. Yeah. Alright, this stream's already gone like 45 minutes past what I wanted it to, so I think I'm going to head out, guys. Yulia is probably upstairs sleeping, if I had to guess. Or at least in bed. Right now we beg for Red Dead and Fallout 76 on Switch, and next gen we complain about old ports like Red Dead and Fallout 76. Probably. Alright, so let me get the shout outs here for all the people who super chatted. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight too before I get to that, since I know some people are going to start dipping out. I want to thank you guys for watching. This is I would have to say This Week in Review, the first ever live stream I've had of a This Week in Review style thing. I'd have to say, looks like a success. I mean, at one point we were over 70 live viewers, so it's clearly a style of content that a lot of people are interested in. Obviously, it gives me a chance to make a Prime News style title, but the Prime News style title can literally be all the biggest news from the past week, which obviously is going to help it with attention. And I get to make a thumbnail that mashes together all that big news. So, yeah, obviously This Week in Review is an interesting concept that we will see if and when I return to it in the future. That being said, let me get all my thanks in for super chats. I'm going to go to YouTube for that. I got to thank Alex Boyer for his $2, Edward for $5, Alex for $5, Jack and Gilles for 2, Matthew Campos for 2, Matthew Campos for 2, Blue Bolt for 5, Blue Bolt for 5, Blue Bolt for 1, Blue Bolt for 1, Snappy Paws for $1.99, and Snappy Paws for $1.99 again. Grand total tonight, we had 12 total super chats for $33.98. Thank you guys so much for your support in these live streams, your support on Patreon, your support through the donation link. All of your guys' support is why I am able to do this. Yes, obviously I make ad revenue as well. The ad revenue alone is not that great, not at my current size YouTube channel anyways, but it's there. It is money, but your guys' combined contributions with that ad revenue make it possible for me to do this as a full-time job. So thank you so much for your support. I hope you guys really enjoyed this week in review. It's a lot like other talkie streams I have, but instead we go through and you guys get to comment on it and ask questions about all of that individual news so we can have that conversation. It's kind of like a Prime News, but live without me reading comments, and instead just getting your guys' comments live on these particular news items. Obviously, we didn't cover every piece of news that happened the past week because that would take us hours and hours and hours and hours, but I felt like it was productive. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. I don't have a stream schedule up yet. I'm posting a stream schedule to Patreon tomorrow, or maybe I'll do it. No, I'll do it tomorrow. And we'll see what I'm going to stream. Probably looking at Fortnite tomorrow night. That's where I'm leaning right now. But we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it soon. Peace out.